Welcome everyone. My name is Mike McQueen, and I'm excited that you're joining us with my podcast called "For the Love of Libraries: Empowering Librarians to Lead with Confidence in the Age of AI." I am so super excited to have with us Leo Lo. Thanks for joining us. Can you give us a little background about yourself, your professional background, and a little bit of background with your connections with AI?
Yes, so I'm a librarian. I am currently the Dean of the College of University Libraries and Learning Sciences at the University of New Mexico. But I'll be changing jobs very soon. In a few months, I'll be joining the University of Virginia as the Dean of Libraries and University Librarians. And also have a couple of, additional roles. One is to be the advisor to the provost for AI literacy, and another is the professor of education in the School of Education and Human Development.
At
Um,
Virginia.
at Virginia, yes,
Yep, yep.
correct. So with AI, so when ChatGPT came out, I was immediately kind of got very excited about it, and I got really interested. And I can see the a lot of potential in that. So I just dove right in. I'm not a computer scientist, so my background is in library science and education. But I immediately took a course at University of Oxford, online course, actually, just to get a sense of what the technology is about. And I got so interested, I actually ended up enrolling in their postgraduate program, a postgraduate diploma in AI at the University of Oxford. So that has helped me quite a lot in learning a lot more about both the technology, the tools, and also its impact on businesses and society and all of that. And so that has kind of helped me develop my own AI literacy framework. So that's kind of a very general background. We'd love to talk about,
Yeah,
more
yep.
of those.
Yes, and also tell us about your involvement with ACRL. For
Yes, thank you. So I am, well, right now I'm the immediate past president of ACRL. And so during my president-elect, vice president year, and the presidential year, I helped establish a task force to develop a set of AI competencies for really specifically academic library workers, but really it could be for any kind of library work. And the whole purpose of that is to so that we have a set of agreed upon set of things that people should know, and to create upskilling and training programs for. So right now, ACRL or Choice is in working with Clarivate to develop a set of modules based on the AI competencies. So that's something that I really care about. I feel like it is a very important technology, whether you like it or you don't like it.
right.
I think it's really important to learn a little bit more about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're for anyone watching this, we're recording this in July of 2025, and these videos are not even going to be released until this fall, because I'm finishing the last part of my book, and I've actually written a little bit about the competencies that you mentioned. I know it's still in draft form right now, but um, I mean, anyone that doesn't already know Leo, he's one of the most well-known and respected AI gurus in the academic world, in library land, in particular. So I'm so thankful to chat with you a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more about that in just a sec. So let's begin by give us a short description of what AI literacy means to you. And you mentioned a little bit about how you took that course to get inspired by it. But
Yeah.
what does AI literacy mean to you? And then just go ahead and just kind of share a little bit about the role of AI literacy within your competencies, because it's one component of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so there are many definitions out there. I don't think there is one that everybody, just agreed on or thinks is the one. And I think that's fine too. AI literacy could mean different things to different people. But for me, AI literacy is the ability to understand, use, and think critically about AI technologies and their impact on, let's say, society, ethics, and everyday life. So it's a really broad definition, it kind of encompasses several different components or strands. So it's I think every person, like a citizen and any person in a society, should have some understanding of this technology in a very broad sense. Now, the ACRL AI competencies for library workers, very specifically for librarians or people who work in libraries. And then there are other ones, like I think UNESCO has one for students, as they have one for teachers. And then there are other ones. I think there's one from University of Adelaide that's very specifically for education. So I think there are many ways to look at AI literacy there, but I am re-looking at it for everybody. Basically,
Mm.
everybody should
Yep.
have some levels of understanding of these of what the things I just talked about.
Yep.
And so I've developed a framework based on that.
Yeah, and I saw that you've done some research and published a study relating to AI literacy. Can you touch a little bit about that, or is that kind of is there
Yeah,
much more to
no.
tell?
Yeah, so ChatGPT came out in late 2022. And of course, it disrupted everything,
Yeah, right,
but
right.
very
Still is.
immediate, it still is, but
Yeah.
very immediate disruption was education. Those were the main headlines, basically. Students can use this to pass
Hmm.
exams and do homework and all of that
Especially
stuff.
especially in the academic world.
That's
College
right.
college students, cheating on their essays and all that. Like now it's
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
huge.
Exactly. So it came out in late November. That's
Hmm.
finals time, right? So in December, we had a lot of students coming into our libraries asking us to help them find journals or books. Our library workers or staff could not find them when we at the time we thought, what's going on? But now, obviously,
Ah.
we know that is because at that point, especially ChatGPT would make up
Hmm.
citations
Yeah.
and you make up books and journals that did not exist. But we didn't know that back then. And
Yeah.
when those could have been teachable moments, but we were not ready to teach our students how to use these new tools, this new technology, and what are the things that they should be, they should look out for, or what are some of the things that this ChatGPT thing is good at, some of the things it's not very good at that time. And that's what gave me the idea that, hey, we need to learn about this. We need to upskill so that we can help our users, both students and faculty, actually. So I did a study in 2023 summer. So that's about 6, 7 months after ChatGPT came out. Basically, is to get a sense of where we are as a profession. I mean, I focus my kind of target population is academic library workers, where they are in terms of their understanding of AI concepts, how familiar they are with these new tools, generative AI tools, what are their perception? How do they feel about this technology? But the whole point of it is to, um, like I said earlier, to develop training programs to upskill us. So with that, I learned that at that point, people were quite modest in their self-rating of the AI concept, understanding of the concept, or how familiar they are with these tools. And there's a wide spectrum of perception on how people view the technology. Some people like it a lot. Some people felt that it's not ethically aligned with their views. And there are a lot of issues with these technologies. Um, but I also asked them how many people have taken training. I mean, define training is in a very broad way, like, attending a webinar is considered
Hmm.
training, professional development. Only a third of the respondents have taken any kind of training. And only 8% or less than 8% of people have access to the premium version of these tools. At that time, was most popular one was GPT-4. You pay $20 a month to have access to it. So less than 8% of the people. But it's those people who scored the highest in almost any of the AI literacy dimensions.
Mm.
And training didn't really make that much of a difference. I
Mm.
was okay, right. So after that, a year after that, I did a follow-up study. People in general have increased their understanding, increased how familiar they are, and more people have taken any kind of training. It's like at that point, it was two-thirds of the respondents, up from a third, right?
Wow.
And double the percentage of people who have access to the premium version.
Mm,
Last time it was less than 8%, this time almost 17%.
mm,
Once again, the significance is in the access to premium tools. They score the highest once again, and
mm,
there's no statistical significance with training compared to their literacy, AI literacy dimensions.
mm,
So with that, I developed upskilling programs combining structured training, which a lot of people ask for, versus the ad hoc webinars and workshops. Structured training with access to the premium tools at my own university. So we have a cohort in the first summer, and with that combination, they actually have the highest increase in their AI literacy
mm,
or how the perception of using AI, the confidence in using AI. And that kind of gives me the idea that, hey, you need both. You need
mm,
structured training
mm.
and access to the premium versions
Yeah.
of the tools.
Time. Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, I read through some of what you just said, and it struck me as surprisingly that the significant difference of literacy skills for those that have been using the paid versions of it, and I think that's pretty amazing. So one thing that comes to my mind in everything you're talking about is the need for librarians to consider themselves as lifelong
Mm.
learners. You know, we've always talked about this word throughout my whole career. You know, we hear it over and over again, but AI has brought a different challenge, I think, to people in regard to willingness to be a lifelong learner. So, chapter one of my book is called AI Superheroes. It's
Mm.
basically, you know, how can librarians step up in the age of AI to lead their communities with AI? And there's quite a few librarians that are either upset about the ethical violations that are involved with AI, or they're afraid for good reasons. I mean, I know I've learned quite a bit about a lot of different aspects of AI, and I have some fears and concerns myself. And then there's some people that are just maybe wouldn't consider themselves very tech savvy, so they're a little intimidated by the amount of information because it can be so overwhelming. It changes so fast. So if you don't have a hunger to learn, like it's going to be a challenge to maintain AI literacy, I think. So how can we inspire people to develop that growth mindset needed to be a lifelong learner with AI? Like, what are some things that we can do to keep that inspiration going?
I think it's really important. That's a really good question, and I have encountered those sentiments as well. I think it's really important. I mean, we are librarians. Ultimately, we're here to kind of help our users to by, either managing information or giving them access to information, giving them providing services for all of those. So if you look at that as our main kind of mission, if our users, if in terms of academic libraries, students and faculty, or public libraries, the community, have that need that they are using AI. AI is embedded in their world, and they need that kind of support, and we cannot provide it. Then we are not doing our job.
Yeah, yeah, and that kind of spills over into the something I wrote about too about um, the importance of not avoiding it. You know, avoidance, like the connections between libraries and librarians that avoid AI, and then maybe just as bluntly to say as like the elimination of their positions or even their entire programs. I mean, this is more of a concern like it within the K-12 community. So many K-12 libraries, you know, are facing budget cuts and shutdowns and all that, and it's trickles over into other areas. But what are your thoughts about that theme that if we don't embrace it, um, that we risk becoming eliminated, basically?
That's certainly a possibility. I think AI can do tasks well now, but I mean, can it do every single task of a position well? Probably not at that point, but eventually it may uh, get to that level. But during this period, that means we are we are some still in control of what we can do before you even get to that level.
Right,
So I
right.
think it's important for people to engage with it. So I keep saying to people that I'm not necessarily pro AI or anti AI, but I'm very pro AI literacy, pro learning about AI. Whether, I mean, even if you're against it, I mean, if you learn more about it, if you engage with it, then you make your argument
Yeah,
stronger.
yeah, good point.
And we, at this point, I think AI is changing so fast. Policies are changing, regulations are changing. They have not been set. Even, the laws have not been set. I mean, there are a lot of lawsuits going on that about things that people care about, librarians care about. They have not been set. But so for us to have a voice in shaping the future that we want, we need to know more about it. Otherwise, that we cannot even make the argument or make suggestions of
Yeah.
how we want to
Yep.
see it.
Yep.
So that's why I'm really trying to set up the infrastructure and support for people to have that chance to engage this technology so that they can make it better. Not that
Mm.
I also agree with many people that this technology, however big of a potential it has, in its current form, there are a lot of issues
Right,
that
right.
we should think about changing. But if you don't engage with it, if you don't know enough about it, you don't have a voice.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's just really great. And what you said earlier too about why I think a lot of people become librarians. They get into the profession because they want to help people. They want to like help them with whatever their needs might be. And one of the things I write a lot about in my book is about the progression of the impact and change that AI is bringing throughout society. And in chapter one about the superheroes, I talk about the stages. So, artificial narrow intelligence is kind of where we are right now. It's all limited to specific domains. Like it can be really good, with language, or another, model could be really good at, vision, or, and so the next stage that we're approaching is AGI, artificial general intelligence. And let me just kind of read this for anyone listening that may not know. This is how I'm defining it in my book, at least the rough draft. We'll see if the editor finalizes it this way or not. But um, it's defined as an intelligent agent that can successfully perform any intellectual task that a human can. AGI marks a transformative milestone at which AI achieves human level cognitive abilities across a wide range of tasks and domains, potentially leading to rapid and unpredictable advancements in society. So, in other words, AGI is at the stage where it's not just limited to the narrow scope; it can apply to a wider range. And then the stage that comes after that is artificial superintelligence. So, I don't really want to talk much yet about artificial superintelligence, but what are your thoughts about the stage of AGI? It's a hot debate about when people think we're going to reach there. A lot of experts say as soon as 2 or 3 years, and some experts say 5 to 10 years. So it's unknown about when it's coming, but it's coming. And why is that important for librarians, and how does that connect with this need to be AI literate?
Yeah, I like that you define what AGI is, to you, especially because a lot of the people you talked about, the experts who talked about, oh, it's coming in 2 years, it's coming in 5, 10 years. They all have a different definition of AGI.
Right, right,
I
right.
think that's the key, is that what does it mean? And I do think that we're heading that way, but how soon and what does that, what is the AGI we're talking about? It will probably take a while. And Google, I think, has a really good um, yeah, definition, but they also
Hmm.
separate AGIs into different levels.
Hmm.
So that could be like you talk about at the highest level is ASI, superintelligence. That's like can do everything better than every human in the world. But there could be different levels where it's better than, like, say, 50% of the people, this is kind of average. And then at some point it was better than 90% of the people in the world, and then 99%, and then everybody. So we may get to a level, a couple of lower levels in a few years' time,
Hmm.
probably.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
I follow Demis Hassabis. He's the CEO and founder of DeepMind, which was acquired by Google. Google
Mm,
DeepMind, and he's the the founder, who I don't know if you know, but like he grew up as a world champion chess player as a young kid, and then he his company is the one that coordinated the game Go that beat Lee Sedol, the world champion in the game Go. A lot of people don't know about that and the significance that that moment had. And he defines AGI, and I watched another interview with him in I guess it was June of 2025, so just
Yeah.
recently, that he predicts that it'll be in 5 to 10 years, and but nobody can really like stake their claim about when it's going to come and exactly what it might look like you said. The interesting piece to it, I'm sorry, kind of getting in a tangent here, but Microsoft, when they invested, was it $10 billion in OpenAI, for a huge percentage, their release of their contract is contingent on when OpenAI reaches AGI. So once that stage comes, then the partnership or the deal with Microsoft changes. So there's a whole lot of weird dynamics that are involved around how OpenAI is releasing their models and how they're defining what that might look like. Because I think there's incentive for them to say it sooner. Like, hey, we reached AGI. That way they can break their ties with Microsoft or whatever. So there's just so much politics involved with all the large tech companies. And it kind of comes back to this question again about the overwhelm that so many people have trying to keep up with what the heck is going on. I mean, you're like one of the smartest AI experts and well respected in the academic world, especially, and well known. How do what do you say to that inability that we might have to stay up to date with all the advances that keep happening?
Yeah. So first of all, it's really interesting about the Microsoft OpenAI thing. I wonder how they define AGI in
Yeah.
that contract, right? And so to get back to your question, I think AGI will probably at some point happen at different whatever levels we define it as. And that's why AI literacy, and I think you talked about writing it in your book, is about thinking about the future societal impact of it. Whether it comes in a year or 10 years, most likely it will, in some form, it will happen that it will take over quite a bit of human work or human thinking.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean for our society?
Mm-hmm.
It does, so that's why it's important to start thinking about it and start planning for it. When I think about societal impact of AI, I mean the several things that most people talk about are the environmental impact. How is it going to affect our world, our planet, basically? And there are a lot, advances in that using AI, and also a lot of drawback of using AI. A lot of people care about that. It's something we need to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing you mentioned, for example, is job displacement.
Yep.
It will probably take away some jobs, but it will probably, create a lot of new jobs too. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and we cannot even imagine the kind of jobs it will create
Mm-hmm.
10 years from now.
Yep,
I
yep.
mean, yeah, I always compare AI to previous kind of technological, foundational technology like fire, like electricity,
Yeah,
like
yep.
the internet.
It's commonly
Well,
mentioned compared
yeah.
with those like fire. Come on, are you kidding me? But yeah, a lot of well-known experts say that.
Yeah, before fire, our lives are very, very different than
Right.
post fire, basically. But it's still dangerous. It can still cause
Right.
a lot of harm.
Yeah.
We still don't know how to
Yeah.
use it 100% in
Mm-hmm.
a 100% safe way. I think it's going to be the same with, AI as well. And so we learning from all these previous experiences,
Mm.
it is very important to think about how to use it safely, because this is probably the most powerful of all of those things,
Yep.
in the past. But getting back to the job displacement, I mean, we didn't have electricians before electricity, so there will be so many jobs
Right.
that were created by this, and that means that people, all of us, we need to think about how can we be adaptable to all these changes.
Mm.
And it will probably affect all of us in some way, some more
Yep.
than others. What are some of the unique skills that we can provide that will not be replaced by AI? So AI is a really kind of it's a good prediction machine, basically, because it's using a lot of data to predict what's going to happen next, what's the next token, all
Right.
of that. But in for AI to do all the things that humans do, it still requires judgment. Now, judgment is a lot harder than just predicting the next token or the next, after forecasting.
Hmm.
It requires a, a lot of nuance, understanding of context, of the world. I mean, AI is just reading text or images or sound or, it doesn't have smell. It doesn't have touch yet. So all these
But
things are
yet,
missing. Yet,
yes,
all
yet.
these things are still missing. So
Right.
it doesn't have that complete picture of the world that we kind of see or feel or
Yeah. And
so yeah.
yeah. See, I mean, I agree with you. But I also, I mean, I'm a big I don't know if I'd say fan. I shouldn't use it. I shouldn't describe it that way. I follow Ray Kurzweil quite a bit. He's a futurist. He's written a few books, one called Singularity, but he's been involved in AI since the 60s, maybe even the 50s, I think. And he talks a lot about exponential growth, how
Mm,
the advancements of AI and the things that you just said made me think of him because the rate at which it's improving and getting better. I know that Amazon now integrates touch sensors in their
mm,
robots. So their AI system with their robots that move things around now have, and I think they're the only, like, they're the leaders in the industry of being able to do this. But their ability to detect the sense of touch. and
mm,
and then that also makes me think of Nvidia. Nvidia is setting the stage now for the world to have AI based robotics. They have a whole entire training system that their AI models are based for robotic learning. And
mm,
if we're only a few years away from what it looks like to have humanoid robots affordable. Like right now,
mm,
$16,000 I think is the more affordable one. And of course, XAI has Optimus, that's supposed to be somewhere competitive, I think in the mid $20,000
mm,
range. So there's a lot of this like well-known people predicting that within a couple years we're going to have a robotics explosion,
mm,
where between the whole learning environment that NVIDIA is providing and then the ability to actually make these humanoid robots that how it wouldn't might not be that hard to embed a smell sensor. They'll have multimodal. They'll have vision, they'll have the ability to hear, and now with the sense of touch. It's just, to me, and I don't want to get crazy, right? I don't want to be like, oh no, this is all going to happen right away and all this stuff. But it just makes me think, like, if it makes me worry a little bit about exponential growth and makes me wonder if exponential growth is really going to continue. What kind of impact will that have on our society? And I just keep banking things to be like, well, if librarians really want to be there, if this happens and it's suddenly kind of shocking for our communities, they're going to need some help dealing
yeah,
with it and understanding what it is. And if librarians are waiting for 2 or 3 years to see if it all happens, like, the learning curve that they're going to have to face might be too much.
Yep, I absolutely agree with you. And also, and especially with the exponential growth, yeah, as things develop, it would just keep happening faster and faster. And that's why we should not be waiting for it to
Yeah,
be
right.
perfect. We should be engaging with it and we should learn with it, basically.
Yeah,
That's the
yep.
only way that we can keep up. And um, it is hard because whenever there's a new technology, it's a well-known, kind of phenomenon. There's always a cultural lag. It will
Hmm.
always take a while for humans to feel comfortable with a very new thing because it
Right, right.
changes our ways of life. And with this, it will change a lot of people's ways of life, and it will in
Yeah.
a very impactful way. And people are, sometimes don't want to change. It's scary.
Hmm. Hmm. I think it's called the diffusion of innovation. The in the ed
Yes.
tech world, people are pretty much divided into like a curve of their adoption of technology into their lives. You know, the laggards are the ones that are always way behind, and you have the innovators at the forefront.
Yeah.
But what's different, I think, with AI is that I just think the laggards, I think there's more laggards because I don't know of any other major technological innovation that has caused so much anxiety and fear. I mean, the internet probably once that became available, but not anything like the fear and anxiety I think I see that AI is bringing. So it just makes me think that that curve might be skewed a little bit
Mm.
or abnormal from what it has historically been.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. All we can do is just try our best to become literate and kind of with the tools is really a great way to say it.
I love that theory, by the way, diffusion of
Hmm.
innovation is actually
Hmm.
developed by a professor at the University of New Mexico. That's why
No
I
way.
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
didn't know that. Oh,
I don't think he developed it while he was at the University of New Mexico, but he eventually became a professor there.
wow.
So I love it, and that's kind of I'm kind of using it in a way to help me diffuse the innovation. In
Yeah.
that I focus because according to that theory is that if you can get about what between 18-20% of the people to
Hmm.
really use it, it will create that momentum to
Yeah.
carry on, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask me, how do you engage the people who are the laggards, people who don't, who are resisting it, who don't want to use it, like faculty and other people. And I basically say, to them, I don't even bother with them at this point. I focus on the
Yeah.
early adopters, the early
Yes.
majority people at this
Yep.
point.
Yep.
Hopefully, it can create that momentum to keep it going.
Right. And this is why I'm so thankful that you know about it and mentioned that. And because now I'm picturing a lot of librarians that are like, okay, yes, even though I have these feelings, whatever they might be, that I'm not quite on board yet. What we just talked about might be enough to inspire them to like go to that next level and make a commitment because to me it's so much about a commitment. Now, granted that I've always been interested and passionate about technology because I can see the benefits to it. So I just for me it's more natural to embrace that. But I also have really come to respect people that don't feel that same way and trying to uncover what it is in order to get them to move to the next step is what's most critical.
Yeah.
Okay, last few questions here. What are some of the like tools and topics that you're most passionate about with AI besides AI literacy? Like anything that with AI personally, or any other things that maybe you're just really interested in and you're fascinated about?
The couple areas I'm probably going to do a little bit more research on. I mean, one is I talk about cultural lag, right? People feel how people feel about this technology and how they
Wait,
want to adopt it.
cultural lag?
Cultural lag, there's a lag between, you know, the technology becoming mainstream and the people, the society actually accepting it.
And
It's
the culture connection to that.
Yes. For example, one thing I'm very interested in is that in the academic world, we submit our manuscript to journals to get published.
Right.
Now, these journals are all publishers are asking people to disclose, to be transparent about how they use AI.
Hmm.
Fine. But what if the editors and the peer reviewers are very against AI? How is that going to affect the acceptance of the manuscript if people
Yeah.
disclose using
Right.
AI?
Right.
I am very interested in that lag when this is a period where people have very extreme views of using AI for
Hmm.
anything, especially I think in writing.
Hmm.
Even people who are pro AI, when I'm on LinkedIn a lot, I'll see people say, I wrote this myself. I did not use AI to write it. As if using AI to write it is a very negative thing for people.
Right. Right.
That's obviously there's a stigma attached to
Yeah.
it,
Stigma. Yeah.
even for
Yeah.
people who are openly
Yeah.
pro AI.
Uh-huh.
I want to investigate that.
Well, and it's interesting too because the journey that I've written in the last 10 months of writing this book, right? Like I have to learn about it and how do I use it as an author in a published book?
Yep.
What do I do and what do I don't do? And it's interesting to see my journey, how that's changed since when I first started, but because like you've mentioned this multiple times just now is the importance of learning with AI. Like, in other words, don't just read about what it is, actually get your hands on and get experience using it. And so it's becoming more and more difficult to define what is appropriate use and what is not, including in every aspect of it, because there's a lot of talk about collaborating with AI and using AI as a partner in whatever it is that you're doing, and including in the writing process. So like for one example, for some things that I've written, like I was so adamant, and I still am, that the ideas that I come up with in my book are things that I want to write about. They're my ideas, but now I'm to the point where like I'll share my idea and I'll collaborate. I'll go through the inquiry process with a chatbot
Mhm.
to unpack the idea that I had, and then getting its suggestions, and then drafting my own version of it first and then getting feedback from it, and then like, oh, have you thought of this? I'm like, no, I guess I didn't think about that, and maybe I should put that in there too. And how does this, my grammar's not so great, so how can I make this better? And then here's a better way to do. So pretty soon, like it's not so easy for me to like describe to people what. And then I use multiple tools, right? So I pay the $20 a month version for 3 or 4 tools, and I not to mention all the research that get help with. So how do I disclose that? It's not so easy.
No, it's so true, and that's absolutely feel the same way about the 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 rigidity and the static kind of way that the rules are people are applying in, let's say, publishers saying, oh, you need to disclose in what way, like you said, it's
Yeah.
embedded in my own entire creation of it. How do I even disclose what's how I use it? And I absolutely agree that people need to use AI tools for them to learn about AI. Now, I'm not saying, this is one point of contention with the ACRL AI competencies because we get a lot of feedback saying, I don't ever want to use it, but I
Right.
can read about it to be AI literate. And
Yeah.
we ultimately decide that no, actually, you don't need to adopt it in your professional work. But we don't think you can just read about it and not
Yeah.
engage with the technology to be AI literate. Just like I don't think you can read a book about riding a bike and be able to say, I can ride a bike, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. I
So
understand what I need to know about to tell my
yeah,
patrons
you
ride a
can
bike.
never try
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
right.
think you can say
Uh-huh.
you know how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
So that's the same kind of thinking. I think
Yeah.
people need to use it, and as you use it, you discover
Hmm.
discover new ways of using it, or inspiration, understanding. And that's why, our upskilling program is like a structured cohort of 8 to 12 weeks, people using it. And I noticed that in the beginning, they will use it to do certain tasks faster or more efficiently.
Hmm.
Because we asked them to develop a work project around using AI. So that's always the beginning. But as they use it, they discover, oh, I can actually use AI to transform my work.
Mm.
Let's say I
Yep.
just led a group of academic advisors. At the beginning, all their projects are about making things faster, more efficient. By the middle part, some of them are changing it. How can I make advising a very different ways of advising
Mm.
forward? So unless you actually use it and get some kind of feedback, like you said, almost like a thought partner,
Yeah.
you're not going to understand that. You cannot be AI literate, understand what AI is about.
Yeah, yeah. Well, sorry, one of my last maybe comment, I don't know if there's much of a question to it, but I mean, I'm passionate about AI storytelling. I've always loved like digital storytelling and learning all the different tools that you can use to create things digitally. And AI storytelling is just a whole enormous explosion of skills because so many people still, the things that we've been talking about, a lot of people are just thinking about a large language model, a chat bot like ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, but that's just a small piece to it. I shouldn't say small, it's a huge piece to it because those language models are at the base of all the other types of AI systems that are coming out now. But so, you know, what are your thoughts about like I guess I could just ask you about AI storytelling, like because that
Sure.
to me is a more difficult area because of so many of the recent advancements, especially in the last couple months. Things have advanced more than a lot of people know and realize. So it's really complicated, though.
Can you elaborate on AI storytelling?
Yeah, yeah. So, there's been a lot of innovative tools that in all different modalities. So, video
Oh,
models. So like the ability to have AI create video that you can't tell. Music. There's an app called Suno that makes songs. There's voice actors, AI voice actors that you can't tell they're AI. And then last thing, you'll have to check out this interview that I recently did with Davide Bianca. He's an AI storyteller and he won a Grammy
mm,
for a filmmaking years ago, and he's the one that told me that in the last. So I interviewed him a week ago, so that we're talking about the end of June 2025, and he had told me that in the last 2 weeks there were more. He's an alpha tester for a lot of these tools from the biggest companies that are making these latest models. So his company that makes AI store, AI filmmaking company, they're on the bleeding edge of these advancements. So they're alpha testers, so they get to see. And he said that in the last 2 weeks alone, the advancements that have come out are they're more advanced than the last 2 years combined,
yep.
which I just thought like it just kind of blew me away because these tools they've come so far so quickly, and most people don't really, I think, even know the capabilities. It's so complicated. So, you know, what are your what are your it's a lot. It's a big question, but
It is, but
what are
it's
your
also
thoughts?
a question I really care about because if you talk about librarians being scared of or concerned about the technology, think about the Hollywood people, the creative people, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You've seen the news and all of that, but a lot of people are definitely worried about, what it's going to do to the industry, to the jobs, But to me, so. I don't know if you know, I have an MFA in screenwriting. I
no,
studied screenwriting and
uh-uh.
but eventually I did not become a screenwriter because I felt that it's just a tiny piece of a very big production that I cannot control. I cannot just make a movie. It takes a team of
Yeah,
people,
right.
right? Now, with all the tools you just mentioned,
Hmm.
I can just make my own movie. I have my story, I have my vision. I
Hmm.
don't need anybody else. I can see that. I can see a huge explosion of really creative, products coming out because you can just do it with ideas now.
Right,
People
right.
with that vision, with that ideas, you have all these tools to make it happen. You don't need hundreds of millions of dollars,
Hmm.
a team of like thousands of people to make that product now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
David,
exciting.
the guy that I interviewed, and I'm gonna butcher this fact
Yeah.
because I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something like, it cost $200,000 in Hollywood for a 1 day video shooting or something like that.
Right.
And like it's gonna just now, like he can basically, it's the impression I got was like, if you know what you're doing and you know these tools and what they can do, you don't even have to do that. There's other ways to like because there's so much of a bottleneck that people when they have their creative ideas and they want to do things,
Right.
but and then you're also relying on like investors. There's so many more steps that need to happen if you want to take your idea to that level.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now with knowledge and some skill set,
Yeah.
I don't want to underplay the skill set needed to do it. It's actually pretty significant, I think, because there's so much to know.
Yeah.
But but it's possible. I guess that's the
Yeah.
difference.
It's like YouTube kept democratizing filmmaking
Yeah,
or digital equipments, kept making it so accessible to so many creative people. So obviously, every time that happens, the gatekeepers get worried because all of a
right.
sudden their values has decreased. And
Yeah,
this will just, it's just another level. Anybody at home with a computer can
yeah.
create music, can create, a movie, basically,
Hmm.
eventually. And so, of course, it's going to worry the people in the industry.
Yeah, yeah. Gatekeepers, you're just making me think like librarians are often referred to as gatekeepers of, stuff and how our role has changed over the years. There's a lot of parallels to that. Okay, last question. A lot of people look up to you. You're a role model for a lot of new and upcoming librarians. What advice would you give someone that's just starting off in the field or aspiring to become a librarian?
I think you mentioned it earlier to be lifelong learners, to be
Mm,
very, to have that mindset. It's not just about learning AI. I mean, AI, you learn it today, it's going to be slightly different 2 weeks from now. How is it going to affect, the rest of us, our job, our society is keep changing. So we need to keep learning, keep up with it. And it's not just AI, there'll be other things as well that will, that are going to be important. I think having that mindset is
mm,
really, really important. Especially people who are up and coming, people are learning, with the whole, future ahead of them. But they should keep going even until they retire, or even after they retire, they should
yeah,
still have that mindset. I've
yeah,
heard a lot of people who are near retirement saying to me, I'm so glad I'm retiring so I don't have to learn AI. And I just feel sad because it's going
yeah,
to be embedded in all your life, right, even after
yeah.
you retire. So
Right, right.
I hope the new kids will have that lifelong learning
Yeah.
mindset.
Well, it's really neat that you said that because I'm thinking about like the journey it takes to get your degree to become a librarian. If that's your
Yeah,
path, some people that don't want that path, and that's okay too. But by the time you're done, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to like have to learn anymore. And then you start your job, and then there's so much to learn, just everything else. So
that's
it would be natural for people to be like, okay, my brain's full. I can't handle much more, but that's not the way to look at it. Like you said,
right.
it's really cool. Well, thank you so much for chatting today. It was great talking with you. And how can people connect with you if they want to reach out?
I think the easiest way is to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can just search my name on LinkedIn, and I post a lot there. And also, I get a lot of great information, updates about AI and other things on LinkedIn. I think it's turning into a really good social media platform,
Yeah,
actually.
I know. Feel the same way too. I hadn't used it all that much until last year or two,
Yeah,
maybe. And I feel the same way. Much more controllable than like Facebook or X or whatever.
right. Yeah.
But hey, good luck in your upcoming role. I can't wait to follow you and see what new fun and exciting things you do there. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. I look forward to your book too. Thank you.